Freezing rain kills faster than snow. Not because it's colder, but because it convinces you that your tent is still protecting you. Right up until it isn't. Snow can be brushed off. Cold can be insulated against. But freezing rain is betrayal. It soaks everything, then locks it solid, turning fabric into armor and insulation into a useless sponge. When a tent fails in freezing rain, it doesn't collapse loudly. It quietly gives up, drip by drip, until your shelter is heavier, colder, and more dangerous than the open air outside. Most people imagine tents failing when poles snap or wind tears fabric. That's not how it usually happens.
Everywhere. It's not the
fail
wind or
because
broken
water
poles,
wins.
it's the water.
Rain seeps through seams, runs down walls, pools under sleeping bags, and steals heat faster than the body can replace it. Hypothermia doesn't arrive dramatically. It arrives while you're trying to sleep, convincing you that lying still is safer than moving, that closing your eyes will help you conserve energy. That's how people don't wake up. Experienced homeless campers know this, which is why freezing rain triggers a different survival playbook entirely. The moment rain turns icy, the tent stops being home and starts being a liability. The smartest move often isn't fixing it. It's abandoning it before it traps you. Staying dry becomes more important than staying hidden. Wind protection matters less than water management. Warmth becomes something you generate and defend minute by minute, not something you assume your shelter will provide. This is the mistake beginners make. They trust gear. Veterans trust systems. They don't ask, "How do I keep my tent dry?" They ask, "Where does the water go, and how do I stay out of its path?" That shift in thinking separates miserable nights from survivable ones and decides whether you wake up. When tents fail in freezing rain, the ground becomes the real enemy. Water doesn't just fall from above. It rises, spreads, and creeps into everything you touch. The first rule seasoned campers follow is simple. Never sleep where water can collect. Slight elevation can mean the difference between damp discomfort and lethal heat loss. Even a rise of a few inches, a curb, a root, a folded pile of debris, can redirect runoff away from your body. People learn to read land like a map of invisible rivers, imagining where rain will travel before it ever hits the ground.
I can avoid
Once
the worst
location
of it.
is chosen, the tent itself stops being the shelter. It becomes a roof component, nothing more. Veterans strip the problem down to layers. A ground barrier goes first. Plastic tarps, trash bags split open, even advertising banners scavenged from fences get laid shiny side up to force water outward. On top of that comes insulation that must stay dry at all costs. Cardboard, flattened boxes, pine boughs, or folded clothing create dead airspace between you and the cold earth. The goal isn't comfort, it's separation. Above the body, they create drip paths. A sagging tent kills you. Rain follows gravity, and any low point becomes a faucet. Experienced campers intentionally angle fabric so water has somewhere to run. Guy lines get tightened not for wind, but for drainage. Sometimes they punch small sacrificial holes at corners, letting water escape before it pools. It feels wrong, damaging your own shelter, but controlled failure beats uncontrolled soaking. When all else fails, people downsize. They abandon the tent volume and build a micro shelter inside it. Blankets get hung low, tarps pulled tight around just the torso, reducing the space that needs to stay warm and dry. Freezing rain punishes excess space. When freezing rain won't let up, warmth stops being passive and becomes something you actively manufacture. Wet cold drains heat faster than dry air ever could, so experienced survivors focus less on insulation thickness and more on heat timing. The body is the heater, and how you fuel it decides whether you shiver through the night or spiral into exhaustion. Eating becomes strategy. Fat-heavy foods matter more than calories. Peanut butter, oily fish, cheap cheese, anything dense and slow to digest. The goal is internal heat production, peaking when the night is coldest, not when you first lie down. Movement becomes medicine, not constant motion, but intentional resets. When rain soaks through and cold creeps in, People force themselves to sit up, flex muscles, stomp feet inside their shelter. It feels miserable, but it restarts circulation. Staying still while wet is how hypothermia wins. Veterans know to schedule discomfort before their body shuts down the alarm bells. Then there's steam management. Freezing rain saturates the air, and your breath adds to the problem. Moisture trapped inside turns into frost, robbing insulation of its power. Survivors crack tiny vents, even when it feels counterintuitive. A finger-width opening near the top allows warm, wet air to escape while colder, drier air slips in low. It's a delicate balance, but it keeps fabric from icing solid. Dry beats warm if you have to choose. Psychology matters here more than people admit. Freezing rain isolates you, turns sound into a constant hiss, erases time. Panic makes bad decisions feel urgent. Experienced campers slow themselves down mentally, breaking the night into checkpoints. Make it to midnight. Make it to 2. Make it to dawn. Each small win keeps the mind engaged, because once you stop caring, your body follows. Surviving freezing rain isn't just physical. It's refusing to give the night your attention. When freezing rain finally breaks, the danger doesn't end. In many ways, morning is when tents fail completely. Everything is wet, heavier, colder. This is when experienced homeless campers make their most important decision: whether to stay or move immediately. Sunlight helps, but only if it can reach your gear. Shade traps moisture. Wind, for once, becomes an ally. People dismantle shelters quickly, even if it means standing in the cold, because trapped dampness will sabotage the next night. They triage gear like medics. What can dry fastest? What must stay dry at all costs tonight? Sleeping insulation gets priority. Everything else is secondary. Wet clothing gets wrung out aggressively, even if it damages fabric. Long-term durability means nothing if you don't make it through the next 12 hours. Survivors think in cycles, not days. This is also when location strategy shifts. After freezing rain, certain places become unusable. Low ground turns into ice basins. Forest floors stay soaked. Veterans move toward human infrastructure. Overhangs, loading docks, stairwells, bridges. Not to sleep necessarily, but to dry, regroup, and reset. Pride has no place here. Exposure doesn't care about dignity. And then there's the lesson freezing rain teaches better than anything else. Gear fails. Plans fail. What saves people is adaptability. The willingness to abandon a setup that isn't working. The humility to copy what others do better. The discipline to act early instead of hoping conditions improve. Freezing rain punishes optimism. It rewards realism. That's why people who survive these nights don't talk about toughness. They talk about awareness. About noticing water flow, fabric sag, numb fingers, mental fog. They survive because they pay attention sooner than others. When tents fail in freezing rain, survival belongs to the people who stop asking how to be comfortable and start asking how to stay alive.